Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to BT Ballers, brought to you by the Michigan Sports Media Network. I'm your host, Brad Thompson. Today, we're joined again by our College Hoops MD, Coach Tass. Coach, how you doing today?
Good, man. Good to be on here. Exciting weekend of hoops. Get a little reprieve here for a few days, and we're going to get back at it again.
Yeah, I let you sleep in till about 4:30 today because I'll tell you what, I know I did these games. But it's really somebody brought that up on X, and everybody wants to watch the games, of course, and they're tough to watch and everything, but there's got to be a way. I don't know, because I don't want to miss any either, like anybody, but these games they're getting late. I mean, you can't wake up and do it at 10 o'clock game, but I don't know if we have any solution. I mean, I was lucky. I think you're lucky because we're junkies. I had the 4 screens going. You did too, but I don't know. I don't know. I just want to see basketball without having to, drink 10 cups of coffee and then be up all night. I mean, I'm already up all night because I'm 54 years old, if you know what I mean. So, but you got any answers there? I don't.
Nah, it was good. I mean, it's one weekend out of your life, that you kind of string it together and grind it out. But I enjoyed the whole thing. Really, a lot of good games, a lot of good teams out there. So we'll see what happens now.
Yeah, I just think for this old dog, I tell you. But hey, what are we gonna do? So hey, let's get right into it. Michigan State, New Mexico. Uh, Another slow start. Um, you can't do it. Okay, you got through. Now it's the Sweet 16. If you do it, you did. So, thoughts on that?
Yeah, a couple thoughts. One, you shot like terribly. Couldn't shot any worse. You just fix it by making shots. There's no fix for that. That's not guys playing poorly. That's guys not making shots. So there's that. But the second thing is New Mexico came out absolutely on fire. I mean, they were pedaled down right out of the gate. Okay, and they brought everything they had. Speed. They were getting it to the big guy. I mean, they were driving hard. They made some shots early. We didn't. So I thought the intensity of it was different. Michigan State could have brought a little bit more defensive intensity to start the game. Other than that, when you're not making shots, you're going to get in a hole. Period.
No, that's true. And obviously, I mean, doesn't take a rocket scientist. Those one of the best. You know, these guys know they're going to get everybody's best shot. And these guys, it's like a horse race. They're going to come out of the gate. They're going to come out swinging. They got nothing to lose. So, they've been weathering the shots, but now they're going to get bigger shots from some of these heavyweights. I mean, Maryland, geez, I am so sorry. New Mexico, they buckled down the stretch, experience, maybe even depth, and perhaps even not being, I mean, they were conditioned, but they weren't conditioned better than State, which kind of leads me into what this team's hat is hung on. Okay. It's the depth, but so many people. I mean, they went 11. They might have even went 12, maybe 11 deep. And ever that 11 deep, everybody played a role yesterday. So, I mean, what did you see?
Well, what I saw from that is what you will not see in any analysis of this game. I'll tell you right now, Frankie Fiddler, a kid who, when you look at him, he probably, I don't know if they got him out of the IM, he walked on or what. I know he's a great basketball player, but the thing is like, this kid isn't even mentioned anywhere today in any place on the internet about his role. Yesterday, he came in, he made a bucket, he took the ball to the basket, he distributed it, he defended. I mean, this kid did all the things, not a starter, all the things you would want a kid to do. Secondly, I would say Cooper came in the game, again, did a hell of a job on the big guy, kind of shut him down for a good stretch of the game, got him in foul trouble. These two guys aren't superstars. They're going to come back to Michigan State. I mean, they're not going to the league this year. These guys are the reason why we're here. I'm telling you right now. What's his name? Jace Richardson, disappearing act last night. Disappearing act. It wasn't from a lack of effort. A guy didn't shoot very good. He didn't make a couple baskets. Did he get down on himself? No. He made the ones that counted at the end. Good for him. And like I said, every team's going to give him their best defender for the entire game. Face guard him if he goes to take a leak. Whatever he does, they're going to put him on him. So yeah, the biggest thing to me was the bench again. They don't get all the credit. They do get a lot of credit from their coach because he realizes like this is an anomaly. No one is doing this. Playing 10 guys, 11 guys. You got number 12 sitting on the bench who could start for anybody in the country. This team is deep and they care about each other. That's why they won last night. New Mexico give us a great swing. You know, I was sweating it at halftime, but they got cold from the 3-point line too, and we heated up a little bit and did the things we needed to do to close that game down. So, congrats to the Spartans. They're going to move on. They're going to play a tough team.
Yeah. Frankie Fiddler was I got to do this. He was definitely playing a great tune last night. See what I did there? Let me throw some numbers at you real quick. Fiddler had his 10 points, but he had those 10 points at crucial times. Crucial times. I mean, see, that's the thing. It's like in baseball. It's not like how many hits it gets. When do you get the hit? And every single one of that young man's points were crucial. And that just feeds into what you're saying there. You know, I cannot pronounce this guy's name. I think you can either. Zapala.
Zapala is his last name. His first name, yeah.
Zapala. Got you. I just called him Big Z, if that's okay. He only played 11 minutes. But the beginning of that second half, which was crucial because you don't want it happening like it did in the first half, he comes out and he gets the first two to start. He's getting offensive rebounds. He's giving the team energy. There's a guy you don't talk much about. Then you have who do we have here? Holloman. What a dog on defense. I mean, it's from the old Norman Dale of Hickory with the Hoosiers. I want to know what flavor chewing gum. All right, I want to know what kind of gum he's eating. And Holloman did that. I mean, he was a straight up dog. Him and Jeremy Fears, they took their best player in Donovan Dent and they put him on a milk carton. And then and then Jaden Akins. What can you say? 7 from 11, 16 points. Again, hitting the threes when the threes needed to be hit. Thoughts?
Yeah, thoughts. Going back to Zapala. This doesn't happen anywhere anymore. It really, honestly doesn't. This kid starts every game. He's in the starting lineup, right? Does he score a whole bunch of points? No. He goes out there for the first 4 minutes until the first media timeout, and he gets subbed out. And then, you know what? His butt's on the bench for almost the whole first half. And then he starts the second half again. Usually, he usually plays pretty good for that first 4 minutes. He comes back in the second half, does his job, he's out, and he rarely makes another appearance. This does not happen. People would be so pissed and in the portal like 2 minutes later nowadays on any other team, but this kid does his job. He does it well. His teammates support him, and it allows us to sub exactly when and where we need to sub with a guy who can make an impact. You're bringing Cooper off the bench. You're bringing that guy off the bench who should be a starter. He should be a starter. He scores a bunch of points. He's long. He plays good defense. But you're bringing that guy off the bench when typically the other team's guy's out of gas. That's why we're winning. That's why we're winning. Unselfish contributors at any time, anywhere, any place in the game.
One of the biggest takeaways, and I use this in my own coaching, and I'm coaching some college kids, some 18-year-old kids, but the biggest thing that I use now, and the biggest thing that I look for, especially if we're looking to put a team together, the last numbers is, I learned it from Izzo, glue guys. You will only go as far as your glue guys will take you. And it always seems to be, at least for the teams that I take, that in a crucial situation, all right, especially, I mean, when championships, were on the line, my glue guys were the ones they were the reason we won.
Yeah.
So talk about it. He loves saying glue guys.
Yep. Well, there's two other pieces to this. The glue guys are, again, you got guys like Jeremy Fears in the huddle, telling Coach Izzo last night that he wants to win the game more than Izzo does. I mean, he wanted it bad, and we talked about him having to get to the paint on dribble drives in order for Michigan State to be successful. What did he do last night? He was a dog. He got his feet in the paint a lot. Made a couple buckets in there, distributed the ball in there. That was a big thing. I thought the second big coaching adjustment to the game last night that helped us win was if the beginning of the game, their big guy, I forget his name now. What was his name?
Mustafa Amzil. I think I know where you're
No,
going with
no,
this.
no, no, no. It wasn't that.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, their big was going left side block, going over the left shoulder 2 or 3 times beginning of the game, got easy buckets, was just dominating, right? So we started making an adjustment, played his left shoulder. He didn't score a point for 20 minutes. 20 minutes because we adjusted. We went on his other shoulder. He couldn't go to his right, and that took him right out of the game. So I like those two. I like the two adjustments, getting Fears into the paint and then playing a guy on the right shoulder where he couldn't turn to his left anymore. Helped us win the game, and then coming out in the second half and playing defense. One of the comments at halftime there by Izzo was like, our guys aren't tired because they didn't play any defense in the first half, so we're fresh.
Right.
That's classic vintage Izzo comment at halftime. But proud of our guys, and hopefully they can stick together and have a good week of practice and be ready.
Yeah, the proper adjustments at halftime were definitely made, and that should be no surprise. That's no surprise with a Tom Izzo team. I don't know about you, but I am concerned. A guy that I kind of sung the praises high of going into the tournament, and I should have known better, not because he wasn't good, not because he's not good, but because it goes against what we've been talking about. One player does not make a team go with this squad. But I think he does need to play a little better. Jace Richardson, I believe he was 0 for 11 at some point. However, it doesn't matter. I mean, that does matter. I'm sorry. It just does. But what did he do? When the chips were down, when something good had to happen, he was there. But, boy, I think it could be a little – nothing's going to be easy now. But I think it would definitely help a little more if he, quite frankly, played better.
Yeah, didn't have a good first half. Didn't make buckets, but it's a college kid, it's a freshman kid. The ball isn't going in. What are you going to do about it? I guess maybe you have to sit. That could be one thing. But he's so good defensively. Yes. He's so good defensively that it just made a difference. And thankfully, other guys stepped up and did the job.
Right. That makes a good point too, and I should have taken that into consideration. I mean, I don't really want to get off my stance, but he did play great defense, and as we know, defense isn't, it wins the championships, but it really doesn't. You don't notice it as much as you see the slashers, as much as you see drain three. So you are correct there. So we're going to talk about matchups of the Sweet 16, what to look forward to in a day or two. Really, no reason to go there with it. Let's get to who they're going to play. Indiana, Iowa State and Ole Miss. Ole Miss is back in the Sweet 16 for the first time in 24 years. The defense led the way for them. Their senior leadership. We know that's key nowadays. Sean Padula and Dia. They were great. Tell me what you saw.
If you're watching this, it's because you love sports. If you love sports, why not show that love with some new gear, like the 2 jerseys behind me? Fanatics has a lot of stuff on sale right now, and if you go down in the description, click the link of whatever team that you want, it'll take you to the Fanatics page, buy some stuff, and we get a small portion. It'll help us out, and you'll get some discounts on some good gear.
That game was a pretty even matchup. I mean, I know Ole Miss won, but Iowa State gave them a good shot. I think the guard matchups in that game were a little bit Iowa State's guard struggled, and Ole Miss's defense was pretty hot on them. They couldn't get open looks. They couldn't get loose. I think that Ole Miss is hotter. They've been hotter. They're on a more of a, let's say, winning clip in the season, and Iowa State maybe not as much. That was one of the factors I thought in the game. I didn't have any expectations in that game going in, like who was going to be better than who. I thought it was pretty even. Ole Miss maybe played a little bit tougher, edgier, played a better game. It was at the same time as MSU, so of course my eyes were focused. But when seeing some replays, it looks to me like Ole Miss had a better energy about them. They got some more business done, so we'll see.
Yeah, they're a good basketball team. Defense carries you, and they definitely are a defensive-minded team. I got to be honest. The guy is a human scumbag okay? But Chris Beard knows how to coach. He definitely does. The teams are always ready to play. Tom Izzo, I believe he was talking about him, I think in the presser, saying, he's got some experience playing Chris Beard when Beard, was coaching Texas Tech. So this is going to be a good matchup. We'll get to the matchup, but I did want to say, that scumbag can definitely coach.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Florida UConn. The last two teams, I'm sure you know this, to win back-to-back. Florida won back-to-back, and then just the last 2 years, UConn won back-to-back, and it lived up to everything that I think it was billed. UConn decided, at least during the game, UConn decided, let's put all the BS out of the way. Let's play our brand of basketball. Let's play up to our potential. And it was just a heavyweight fight. I mean, these teams are boom, boom, boom. I mean, it looked like Hagler and Hearns. The first round of that, I'm just going, oh my God, we're texting back and forth going, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. Can you believe this? And UConn uncharacteristically made some mistakes down the stretch. And then what can you say about Walter Clayton Jr.? I mean, hello, the ice, just the ice, ice water in his veins. The dude is flat out money. Great game. Your thoughts?
My thoughts were that was the national championship game there, right there. Those were the two best teams in this country. And after watching everybody for 4 days, followed very closely by Duke and Tennessee. But I'll tell you what, that game was as enjoyable for a basketball fan as you're going to possibly find at a high level. Okay, these aren't two, 12 and some seats that nobody knows about beating out. These are two teams that have been in this tournament and been the highlight of this tournament for years and years, duking it out, going back and forth. Their best players playing the best games. It could have gone either way. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Not being a fan of either team, but I enjoyed that game to the fullest. And congratulations for Florida. They'll move on. But wow, what a dogfight.
Right. No, absolutely. And again, like I said, quite frankly, it probably was. It probably was. I'm not counting Duke out. I'm not going to, we're not going to get to Duke right now. But again, as I stated earlier, they put all the BS away. And look how they can play when they do that. But after the game ends, okay, this maybe I do have a little bit of a hard on for Danny Hurley, okay? But he gives people reasons, okay? There was a viral video that went out, and he's walking through the tunnel. And let me preface that. He goes on the interview after he's done this. He says, my guys played with honor. They played with honor. Okay? Well, your guys did. But you have no honor, Danny Hurley. You have no honor. You got 2 rings, but you have no honor. You're going on this video and you're saying, hey, they fucked us, Baylor. Don't let them fuck you. Okay? Stay classy, Danny. But let's take it even further now. Okay? I believe the guy's name was Joey Ellis. Obviously, phones are out everywhere, right? And so he puts that immediately on X, immediately on the gram. And what happens? Well, I guess it just doesn't stop with Danny Hurley, okay? Because they're SID. All right, Bobby Mullen. Okay, he goes up to this Ellis guy and he points a finger in his chest and he goes, I'll ruin your life. And when Ellis asks, well, what does that mean? What does the guy say back? Whatever the fuck you think it means. All right. So if you want to win that way, that's great. That's great. And sure, that makes great drama. But you know what? I'm sorry. There's no honor. Give his players the honor. That's fine. Because I don't see his players acting like that. All right, like acting that fool. Those players, in my opinion, are classy. And they put up with him. And they put up with his bullshit 4-hour practices. All right. So give them credit. Okay. I just have a problem with the guy because we're still molding young men. For as much as we say, these guys are still molded the right way. And people may come back at me and they may say, hey, you're a Bobby Knight fan or Bobby Knight guy. You're a fucking hypocrite, okay? There's a lot of things that I'm going to say right now. Bobby didn't handle a lot of things right. Bobby deserved every single bit of the slamming the phone against the against the LSU game when they won the national title in '97. Bobby owns it when he comes out and the team's playing Northwestern. They're down by 14. He goes and takes a shit in the bathroom, wipes his ass, and comes out telling the players, "This is how you play." Not acceptable. Not acceptable. When he got arrested in the Olympics, almost got sent into Puerto Rican jail. Okay, not acceptable. So I do consider him to be one of the greatest coaches of all time. And he's done so many things, but the problem is people can't look past what the man has done. So he has, whether I like it or not, he has that Bobby Knight, but and Danny Hurley's got that now. And it's a shame because you know what? He's won 2 national titles. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I didn't mean to go off on a soapbox here, but
no, my only thought about it is, you got to know there's cameras on everywhere you go now and whatever you say, but maybe he doesn't care. So obviously he doesn't care, but whatever. Take your L and go in the locker room and spend some time with guys you'll never see again, or whatever. Because who knows? It's not like everywhere where guys come back all the time and visit and things like this. So go. These guys are hurting. They wanted to move on. Go in there and take care of business, and then go home. Enough
fair
said.
enough. Fair enough. Okay, next, let's go to Duke. Boy, I do agree with you with UConn, but Duke. There's a guy back in the radio back in the day, Damon the Dog Perry. I don't know if you remember him. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But he has a great line. Duke is Duke. Okay, Duke is Duke. Cooper, Flag, Proctor. I mean, you come out with a good Baylor team, but dude, Baylor was just a windshield meat bug. Okay, hammer, meat, nail. All right. I think Duke's pretty goddamn good. So, I don't even know if we need to talk about the X's and O's there. Just talk about what you think about Duke overall and how far they can go.
I think Duke was solid. They played a solid game. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They're better than any team I've seen them play all season long. They've held leads. They don't, like I said, they don't make a lot of mistakes. So if there's no room for another team to kind of bite into them, I think Carolina gave them a good bite recently when Duke had them down by 40. I don't know what it was. It's something like I flipped a station, and a buddy of mine texted me and said, "You better go back and check this out. Carolina's doing some damage." And it was a 2-point game at the end. But I don't know how much of that was Duke letting the gas off after being up by so much or whatever, but they don't have, they're deep. They don't have flaws. They don't make mistakes. When somebody takes one thing away, inside or outside, they can find another way to expose it. Flag's got to get their best defender. I mean, they are really, really, really good. And I don't see anybody beating them till the finals, to be honest with you. Everybody else is just going to, give them a little harassment, and they'll keep a lead. They'll come back if they're down, whatever happens, but they're just not going to totally implode. They're too good.
Yeah, they are. I don't smell any upsets here. And for people who don't know out there, Cooper Flag, who is the best player in the country, hands down, who's going to be the number 1 draft pick, who people say is the franchise player. If you don't know this, folks, he should still be in high school. I mean, so this guy is. We just had Wembayana come out, but this guy's a franchise player. I'm not going to say he's generational, but he is definitely the face of the franchise coming out.
Yep.
And I don't see him going. I don't want to go off, but I don't see him going to the Wizards. How about that? Okay, how about that? Arizona. We'll talk about the previews. Good luck, Arizona. Good luck. So, Bama. They went about their business. They beat St. Mary's. I don't think that. I mean, they beat them. They're supposed to beat them. They beat them. I'm not sure they looked like the 2, but then again, who knows? What did you see? And I think they're going to be going up against a great team in BYU. Don't need to talk about that right now. But what did you see?
They've sputtered a little bit toward the end of the season. I think we talked about that in previous podcasts, but yesterday they sputtered less. I think they were solid more often in the game. They shot pretty well. They didn't get themselves into foul trouble or doing stupid things. Couple in the first half, they turned it over unforced. Sometimes they looked a little scattered or unfocused, and I thought, oh shoot, here they go. But they got it together and played a pretty good second half. St. Mary's is always around. I wouldn't want to play them. That's a very good basketball team. Pretty solid. Just didn't have enough firepower to go on a big run, like a 7-0 run in the game, and kind of take the lead over or anything like that. Alabama played pretty good defense yesterday in the game, rebounded well. Oates has some. He's got them. He's got them locked in. He's got them locked in. And I think worst comes to worst, you get Duke and them together again. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, and that's where maybe the real teams kind of show up. I don't know if I can put it in better words than that. I probably could. But for instance, Florida got their wake up call. Granted, they played a freaking amazing team, but they got their wake up call. Maybe Bama, something happens and they say, yo, man, enough with this bullshit. Okay, let's play Alabama basketball. Not just them. You could say the same thing about some teams here, even Auburn. But with that, let's talk. If Florida and UConn was the most exciting, the best game, boy, I'll tell you what, this one comes a close second, and that's going to be Maryland, Colorado State. Colorado State coming in as the last team in there. We talked about how those last teams can just for some reason just get running and look for a long while they look for the last 6 seconds there, like Colorado State was, they were going to do it. I mean, you really felt bad for Jalen Lake. He made two huge. They're down 4. He makes those 2 big free throws. Maryland, they don't convert. He comes down and he hits that 3-pointer with 6 seconds yet left, and you know, but I look over and I say to my dog, because he's the only one sitting there, I say, yo, Jack, I said, this game's not over. And he gave me that look like, and I don't know if that look was I just pissed on your floor or if like, you're right, So, but, boy, Big Ten player, a freshman of the year, Derek Queen. This is what I loved. In the huddle, you probably already heard this. He said, give me the fucking ball. I mean, you give me that dude, you give me 12 of those dudes, and I don't lose. I don't lose.
Yeah.
So, thoughts?
I think you mentioned the right word. It's dogs. Maryland's dogs. They're dogs. Of the 2 teams right there, Maryland probably had overall the lesser basketball. I don't want to say talent, but Colorado played a solid basketball game. They exposed every deficit that Maryland has offensively. They ran great sets. They got great looks. They got great shots. Maryland's just so athletic, and they're just gritty and dogs. I mean, they came through the Big Ten and they had a great season. So, I think that was one of the things. Could have gone either way. We watched that game 10 more times. It could have 10 more outcomes. Great game.
Yeah, it really was. And you know what? Maybe it's karma for Maryland. Maybe it's, it's your turn because I mean, when you lose on a 70-foot fucking full court shot and then you lose on a couple more buzzer beaters, they got to be saying to themselves, what the fuck did we do in another life? So
Yeah.
even though, I'm not a Maryland fan because of what they did to us in 2000 and I think it was 2001, 2002, whatever it was. I did feel good. I felt good for them because how many times are you going to get pissed on? And this game, it was their turn. So credit to them.
Yeah.
Credit to them. So, the last question I got for you here, Coach, is we have not seen much madness, much March Madness in this tournament. We've seen some great basketball, but we really haven't seen that upset where everybody's going, holy shit, except for McNeese. It's gone chalk. It's gone chalk. And I was reading an article today, and I don't know, but I can see the points that were made by, by this writer. It's the NIL and it's the portal, which if you could still go to look at Caleb Love. Look at him from Arizona last night.
Yeah.
He goes to Arizona because there's a spot there. There's some guys that come down to the mid majors. There are. I mean, we talked about it, but it's only been 1 year, so I'm not going to sit there and do a complete 180. But I am concerned about the mid majors and how they're going to be affected in the long run with the portal and with the NIL. I don't see it winding up good. I think we already know that college football, I mean, we're talking about super conferences already, and we're talking about them already making it even bigger, a Big Ten SEC super conference. So, I mean, are we making farm systems? It almost seems like the mid majors are becoming farm systems now for the big teams. Thoughts on that?
Well, unfortunately, that could be a dying dinosaur in this tournament. I mean, who wants to watch that? That we're still pretty young in this NIL thing. This isn't like 10 years old yet. This how many years we've been doing this? A few, handful,
Right,
something like
right.
that. We're still young in that, so it hasn't had its chance to eat away everything at the mid majors. But they're these mid majors aren't going to be the teams that get automatic bids from winning their conference tournaments. They are not going to be able to compete in any way, shape, or form in this tournament, whether they won their conference or not, because they just won't have the firepower at all. They used to have, the two or three teams from a mid major that would win, get into the automatic bid or make the tournament because they had a great season and a 21-4 record or whatever. They had three or four good players. They had a chance. They might have a chance to make that one upset or whatever, or win two games. I don't think in a year or two from now, any of these teams will have any good enough players to compete in this tournament. So they're either going to have to maybe make two tournaments to even have. Why would you want your school to go into this tournament and not have any chance of even being close? Doesn't make
No,
any sense. No kid
no,
wants to play on that. No kid wants. It's not good TV. It's not fun. It just some things need to change because those teams are getting robbed, and we'll see.
but you know what it does? It puts money in the kids' pockets. Oh, the networks and the conferences and the NCAA, they don't have enough money. Come on, they're broke. They're broke. They'll cry poor. They'll
Yeah.
cry poor, and you're full of shit. You're full of shit. So, if you want to do it, that's great. I mean, for Christ's sake, they're calling them GMs now in college, college football programs. They're going to be calling them GMs now in, college basketball programs.
Well, Michigan
No,
State just
please.
hired a guy, Brad. I mean, a guy that I went to college with, a guy that I know, uh, went to get work camps with. He was a manager at Michigan State. He worked for the Lions for the last, I don't know how many, 12, 13 years it's been. He got hired by Michigan State now to do this stuff, handle this stuff. Exactly what we're talking about. Contracts, NILs. How does that look across the board for the athletic department? Those kind of things. He's got a legal degree as a lawyer, and that's what he's done with the NFL, with the Lions. And now you need somebody like that at the college level to handle all this stuff that
Mhm.
nobody knows what it is, and it's probably going to be different tomorrow.
All right. Well, I don't want to hear anybody. Don't they dare at least say to me that this is amateur sports, because it's not. It's not amateur sports anymore. When you get paid, you're a professional. You get paid for being one of the top fitness gurus in the state of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I get paid for being a teacher. I work hard, but I get paid for it. I don't get paid much for it, but I get paid. If somebody gets paid for their profession or what they're doing, okay, they're playing basketball, they're starting to get paid well, they're a professional. They're not an amateur.
No.
They're not an amateur. So let's call it mid tier. You got your four, whatever, professional, then you got your other professional. You want to play an amateur tournament, let's see the Alabama States play the Bryants. Because I'll tell you what, that would be exciting. That'd be an even playing field, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, it would be fun, but hey, it won't make any money. It won't be on the national, but I don't know. Am I going to say get off my lawn? Because I think a lot of people that are even younger than us think it's complete horseshit. I don't want to go off too much, but I don't like the direction it's going, and I don't really see myself being a fan of it much longer. I mean, maybe I will, but it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth that it's sad.
Well,
It's
the whole let's go back, and I know we're off tangent, but let's go back to the whole intent of the thing. The whole intent of the thing was, I'm a great player. Uh, they're using my face and things on a video game. Okay, some company is profiting off of my name
Mhm.
and likeness. Okay, The character in the video game looked like me. All right, so that in that circumstance, that's what this whole thing originated from, to my understanding. You should get paid when somebody else is profiting off of your face and things like this. But that's not what it is now. Now it's just like, oh, this guy's pretty good. We want this guy to come here. It's not that anymore. Nobody's face is in a video game and they're getting paid for it. Now it's getting paid to be the face of the university, of the program, of the thing. And that's not what the intent was in the beginning.
Right. And you know, it's the O'Bannon brothers. That O'Bannon, by the way, the year they won the national title against Arkansas. And he makes a great point. But here's the problem. I understand where he's coming from. But guess what? You creaked that door open with the monster behind it. You opened the door and you invited the vampire in. All right, and now the vampire's taking over. It's literally sucking blood. It's sucking energy out of everybody. You know, I get it back, you know, they can say, you know, well, you know, they were giving bags under the table and things. You know what? I'm sorry, I'd rather have it that way. I'd rather have it that way. I'd rather have you know, Urban Meyer and Calipari just say, okay, well, you know, I don't see anything, I don't know anything. I'd rather have it that way. Because now it's just yeah, whatever. I mean, I remember Weber saying, you know, he's walking down with Mitch Albom down, you know, Ann Arbor, whatever that Main Street, whatever the fuck they call it. And he goes, look, that's my jersey in there. Maybe he had a point. You know, he asked Mitch Albom for $20 for pizza, and Albom said, you know, I can't give it to you, bullshit. But I get it, and those are the days that I believe it. I mean, Weber was taking the bag. I mean, we all know Ed Martin, but I'd rather have those days. To the days or whatever. But I mean, whatever. It's just the world we live in. It's the world we live in. So, but you know, I don't want to end on I guess we're going to end on that. So, you know, Coach, what a weekend. You know, we're going to be back here in a couple of days to break down the second and third rounds of the tournament. I know I've had a hell of a lot of fun so far. I hope you have. I hope you have.
Yeah, final thoughts, Brad. I mean,
Okay.
it's there's a lot of talent out there in this tournament still left. A lot of teams that could do it. Any of these teams that are left could do it. I mean, we haven't mentioned BYU today, and we'll get to it later in the week. But a team like that, they got the capability to do some things. It could be one shining moment for anybody left. We'll see.
We shall see. So, hey, folks, thank you for tuning in to BT Ballers, brought to you by the Michigan Sports Media Network. He's the coach. He's our college basketball MD. All right, our insider, Brian Tass. Coach, see ya. Talk
Thanks,
to you
Coach.
soon. And with that, we out of here.